So Coté, so I know you give a lot of conference talks. You do a lot of keynotes, so you must be good at it in someone's eyes, right?
That's how I think about myself, yes. Someone likes me. I'm not sure who or why. But they keep picking me for this, so either I write really good abstracts or they're deranged.
Just consistently deranged.
That's right.
So my question for you though is, so you must have some amount of comfort on the stage. Like, have you been on the stage in any other capacity besides conference talks?
Well, on the stage.
Yeah, you do dance recitals as a kid.
Oh, like as far as like artistic stuff in comparison to talking about just, like tech.
Anything you do in front of a group of people on purpose.
I don't think so, because I can't think of anything. The only my mother when I was back in Texas this Christmas time, she always gives me a packet of stuff from our lives. So I got a bunch of photos. And one thing that she got is, the only thing that's popping into my head is one time I used to have I guess she's still my friend, but I had a friend who would get hired to do magazines for kind of obscure magazines, like university magazines.
What does doing a magazine mean?
I'm glad you asked that question. They would basically like the one in particular was that I'm thinking it was for, I don't know which university in Florida. I don't know about American football, so I'm sure I would if I did. But it's like the University of some Florida or some University of Florida. Okay. And it was the School of Engineering, right? And they put out a magazine quarterly. And so this is an example of the kind of thing they would do is they were basically like end to end. I don't even know the words, but just like do the magazine.
That was not helpful in any way for me to understand what that means.
So like if you imagine, like they have, I think they do like editorial for it. So they find the content and they get the copywriters to like go over it. They like hire the people to go out and do the stories. And then they also they do art direction where they have the pictures for it. And then they do all the layout.
Like produce. Yeah.
So
I have an important question though. Mm-hmm. What does this have to do with you doing performance?
So this is the only performative thing I remember is one time they needed to do something about droughts. And so they asked me to come do a photo shoot, and they spray painted me to be gray and put me in a Hawaiian shirt. And they had in a photo studio, I'll have to find the studio for the show notes. They had constructed, as if you imagine a pool that's emptied out. So like they had this blue lining that they had made look like a pool with a ladder. I don't know what the ladder that goes in the pool, like the silver ladder. And they had me sitting there looking distressed, smoking a cigar in like an inflatable like pool tube. And so
you're painted gray.
Well,
wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
Just my hair is painted gray, not my whole body.
I was imagining your whole body
like a clay man.
So you're because it was so long ago, they were simulating that you were an older dude.
Now they wouldn't have to do that, I guess.
Right.
But the whole notion was like, there's a cover story on like how there were droughts and what to do about it, and so they needed this picture. So that's the last thing I remember as far as a performance that I did. So there you go. The
last and apparently only thing you remember that was not related to tech.
Yeah, this is. Maybe I'll think of something as we're talking, but that's an interesting question.
Is D&D's kind of performance-y, maybe?
Yeah, but I haven't played that with people in a long time since I was like
AI.
13.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, kind of a private performance.
Then the question is, how did you go from engineer to someone who speaks in front of an audience? Because it's kind of a big leap.
Sure. I think you've asked me this before, so I should know the answer. But I think
you should know the answer because it's your life, not because I've asked you before.
Well, yes. I mean, I've demonstrated that I have an answer, is what I'm saying. So I should have an answer. I think this is like a crappy answer, but I just decided to do it. And the reason I decided to do it is because I had been in the early 2000s, like blogging a lot. And when I was a programmer, and because I always wanted to like publish and write things. And so there you have blogging. And then I wanted to like, I saw these people who would like, how would I see them? I saw public figures who in the tech world who are writing books and like would speak at conferences, and I wanted to go to conferences. And so eventually that all resulted in me working at Red Monk as like the first analyst, the Stephen O'Grady and James Governor hired. And then part of that is going to conferences. And so that was then my job, to go to conferences. Like a related thing to tell one of my long-winded stories is I remember one of the first consulting calls I was on with James. It was probably with IBM or something. And they were asked, I don't even know what it was about. They were asking me about Lotus Notes. I don't remember, or rational software. And I kept like IMing this stuff, as we called it back then, to James. And he was like, Coté, you should tell them. That's your job. And so I think I just discovered it's my job to do this. So I went out and spoke at conferences. And then, mechanically, how did I do it?
Yeah, were you scared?
I think scared is not exactly nervous and anxious. My biggest fear / negative motivator in life is I don't want to get in trouble. And so like, or kind of look, and I think a part of getting in trouble is like looking like an idiot or being told I'm wrong. Not wrong like you're morally wrong, but like, oh, you failed the test, right? Like you did the thing wrong. And so that it's not so much, I don't think I've ever had a fear of like talking in front of people. It's more like I don't want to fuck it up. And so I
think maybe that's true for everyone. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people.
But I hear people just like, and see people who like are nervous about, when I hear people say they're nervous about public speaking, my impression is they're nervous about like being in front of people. Like they could tell you something that they know extremely well and do what they have no fear of messing it up. They just don't want to talk in front of people. But I don't know. I don't remember ever feeling that way. Sometimes I'm lazy and I just don't want to do the work, but that's different.
Well, with all of that said, let's introduce our guest, Lian, who, Leanne, you've had like a 15-year career in tech. And recently, for a while there, you quit tech altogether to pursue performance art, yes? And now you've kind of blended the two. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Introduce yourself, please, and tell us your journey.
I think you already introduced me there. My name is Lian. I'm currently, I call myself a cloud native human because, there's just more to us than being a consultant, being an engineer. And most of what I do also involves more skills, I would say. And especially like, I feel like it's important for us to just show up as humans with, all our beliefs and what we care about and our perspectives. So also it's just funny, people are actually kind of curious and also like, what is this? What is it that you do actually? So that's what I'm doing right now.
So that's your job title, Cloud Native Human.
It is my job title that I made up and gave to myself, which I think is how we're just coming up with job titles now, right? Someone just makes it up and then other people pick it up because it sounds cool.
I'm a senior human. Oh, I'm a principal human.
Staff human level 2.
Distinguished human.
I think we all are, yeah. But anyhow, so actually what I actually do is I'm freelancing as platform engineer / developer relations. I think there's a big overlap there where we can talk about that a little bit. But yeah, my background is in software engineering. I was a consultant for a long time, kind of helping customers transition into the cloud, like containerize the workloads, all that stuff. And then I was doing developer relations for a while. I think that's where we met, Whitney.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And then I had a little bit of a burnout. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And I also don't know if I still want to because I was working for Silicon Valley, like startups. And that startup grind was, I always wanted to work. yeah, I always wanted to work for a startup. I had this like very romanticized idea of I want to build something, I want to get in the ground floor, and then also obviously reap the benefits when we take off. I want to like make millions, but it was so hard for me, that environment, and I also didn't feel like I was still connected to, as I said, like my values and my perspectives and who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And then while I was still working, I started getting into amateur musical theater in Amsterdam. So there's a
Ah.
big English-speaking amateur theater community in Amsterdam, and I did a one or even two shows with them as an ensemble member, just like singing and dancing in the background. But it was a lot of fun. And then I also got into stand-up comedy and improv theater. So I was doing a little bit of everything. Um, and then I was like, well, you know what? I'm actually not bad at this. And I would just like to see how far I can go here. So I quit my job in tech because I just couldn't do it anymore. And then I was like, I'm just gonna do this for a while and just see where it takes me without
Yeah.
the goal of being successful with it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't pay. It doesn't pay at all, actually, to be an amateur. So I have to come back to tech. But I think I found something now that I really love, where I, can be a full human with all the things that I love, and just like merge the two together. And I think that is. I mean, I'm super happy that I have the chance to do that now.
So you're telling me you can merge stand-up comedy and tech?
I mean, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Because if you watch good talks, right, like popular good talks, even technical talks, I feel there's a lot of stand-up comedy in there. There's a lot of overlap. So yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Does any of your stand-up have to do with tech? Do you have a bit you can share with us? Yeah.
Well, I actually have I did like a 5-minute stand-up set at a DevOps Days meetup, actually.
Yeah.
And okay, so I would actually let me look in my joke notebook right now, because I don't know all of my.
Wow, a joke notebook. I have a series of questions around that concept alone.
It's important to have like a physical notebook where you write your jokes on. I remember it started with, I used to be a DevRel, but now I have a real job at stand-up comedian. That's how it started. And then something like about how proud my parents are of me. I can't really. Oh, well, okay, wait. Oh yeah, okay. I used to be a developer advocate. Now I have a real job. I'm a full-time comedian. Haha, yeah, my career is still a joke. And then what I have. Oh yeah. So I told this at a meetup, and well, my writing is terrible. And none of the startups people were laughing. Yes, we both don't create value. I think I can probably work on that. Yes. Anyhow, okay, let's move on. It's not that good now that I look at it, but this is the same as with programming. Sometimes you look at the beginning of like your notebook and code you wrote like half a year before, and you're like, what was I thinking? This is terrible.
That's how you know you've grown, though. Yeah. That's. I used to avoid journaling because it was so cringy to look at past stuff. I was like, no, that's how you know you grow.
Well,
I have some diaries from my childhood still, and it's like I can't even look.
Oh, those are always rough to look through. You gotta just burn those or curse them, your children, with them after your death. So with that your demonstrated expertise at humor, like how would you characterize the humor of like U.S. startup culture? Do they have any humor? Are they funny?
I think in Germany, I'm German, we would call it Galgenhumor, which is what do you call where you hang people? What's that called?
The gallows?
Oh yeah, it's gallows humor. That is, you have the same word. Okay. So it's very like, I feel like it's very like, oh yeah, we all live at work and we don't have a personal life and we just kill ourselves with work. Isn't that funny? Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Sounds German.
Yeah, it's very, I mean, that I feel like with startups, everyone kind of knows that we're self-exploiting. And maybe to some extent also that we're kind of living a lie and we're obviously playing this like lottery, but
Mhm.
we're just all kind of like okay with it.
Mm.
Well, we
Yeah.
pretend to be okay with it because you can't really say, I don't want to do this. Right. So we
Or
just,
a lie told as a group is maybe easier to swallow than a lie you're telling to yourself.
yes, I guess like
Yeah.
when we all live in the same delusion, it makes it okay.
I think that's called a cult.
And is the delusion more complicated than this is a good idea, or is there an actual like payoff delusion, like this is important, it may be terrible that I'm doing it now, but there is some value in the future that's going to make it worth it? What do you think the nature of the delusion is?
Well, I said I didn't want to talk about politics. However, I think to some extent, isn't our whole like economic system to some extent a delusion where we kind of like tell ourselves like, yeah, we can just go on like this forever, or like the whole investor kind of scheme where it's like the AI investment scheme where it's like, yeah, we just go on like this, we just invest and we just continue, and there's growth, but the growth is not real, right? There's no actual growth in actual value, really. It's just more like we just say there's value, and that makes
Our
there be
valuation has
value.
gone up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I feel
Yeah.
like it's that.
Like I've so one easy, not to dismiss it, but one delusion driver, like as you're kind of alluding to, is like, oh, I got all these options and one day I'll have an exit event with like a bundle of cash, and then
Mhm.
that might also roll into like career stuff and then more and more, right? Like,
Yes.
I guess
Yeah.
snowballs are usually bad, right? But like like it gets better. But I've been, as I'm sure we've all seen, like over the past year, I think in order to get around like regulatory stuff and maybe also cashing people out, now it looks like you can just hire only the people you want and get rid of the rest of them when you acquire a
Yes.
company, which
Yeah.
seems like not a good idea for motivating delusion. Right? Like it would
Yeah.
seem like if your view is like, I'm gonna like put in my what is it, your 9, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever it is, like all you're working all the time, and
Mhm.
then just like 10 people out of 200 are gonna make a bunch of money, and then you're just on the street. It seems like the
Yeah.
delusion doesn't work anymore.
Yes. Well, we say delusion now. We used to say belief, or like, you know.
Faith, your faith.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more honest. I mean, like people still play the lottery. I don't know. Do y'all have the
True.
lottery? Yeah.
I think like as long as you know what you're doing, it's fine. Like we're all grown-ups. If you wanna work 80 hours a week for the chance that you might make like $5 million at some point, like, yeah, you go. That's on you, right? I think I have a problem with. Okay, so this is something I actually talk about with other DevRels quite a lot. Is that we used to tell people that it's so great to go into open source because they're like, especially for people who are just beginning, because
Mhm.
it's like a good way to get into community, get to know people, contribute to something, show your skills, up level, like upskill yourself, and it will help you find a job. And that is or was true for a very, very long time. And now it's maybe not as true anymore. And we still keep saying, oh, you just have to do open source. But then it's maybe still true for like a handful of people, but it's not true for a lot of people who are just putting in free labor now. And that I find kind of like, is this like a like, are we selling people something that is just not true anymore? And I'm starting to feel a bit bad about it.
What changed in your mind to make it not true?
I think the promise of open source has been broken now. I feel like, I mean, again, I don't, we can't talk about everything here, but there's been so many discussions about the value of open source and how we should be how we should be paying our open source contributors and maintainers for the free work that they're doing that really holds up the entire industry, right? Like, how do we value that and then also put our money where, what do you say? Your money where your mouth is? Is that what you say?
Yeah,
that's right.
So what I'm hearing from that is, it sounds like if you are a super beginner, there is value to using open source to learn. But then as soon as you're good, quit helping for free and dig in your heels and say, pay me or I'm out.
That's what I would for sure say now. But then also, I would just not tell people, oh, just do open source and then it will be fine. It's like, that is one of the many, many ways that you can try and get your foot in the door, because it's all like, I feel like this industry is still very tight, and networking is still like the most efficient, effective way for you to like find a job, like for you to move up the career ladder, if that's your thing. But there used to be a promise that I feel a bit bad. And but then I also feel bad telling people don't do open source, because it's not doing that anymore. Because I feel like I've benefited so much from the community and the open source tooling. And I don't want to promise people things that are not true anymore, but I also don't want to be like, well, it worked for me, but it won't work for you, so you better not put any work into this, right? I'm feeling conflicted.
Do something to sharpen your skills, whether it's take a certification or follow an online course that's on sale, or whether it's contributing to open source. Do something to meet people. That could be volunteering at your local meetup. That could be volunteering for a conference. It could just be attending a conference and being outgoing about it.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I still think there's a lot of value in open source. Is you just have to treat it as like just one avenue and a thing that has like opportunity costs to it. It's just not the magical like you
basically need to have skills and you need to meet people. So, and there are lots of ways to do each of those two things.
I think that's true for almost everything in life.
And life in general.
You have to be good and also likable.
You have to be good and likable.
So, relate in one of your maybe it was the last KubeCon talk you gave. I forget, but you mentioned you're working for I don't know, part of the Dutch government, and I imagine in other freelancing work, you talk with technical people who don't work at tech companies.
Yes.
So to speak. And like, would you like give them that same advice? Like does the idea of the open source used to be your ticket to like fun or whatever? I could see that would definitely apply if you wanted to work in the tech world. But do you think that like applies in the not tech world if you're doing tech stuff? I'll say tech one more time.
I do. I think because like, even, or maybe even especially in companies that are not exclusively tech companies, you always have these people who are just extremely interested in just this one thing, who just get super involved into, I don't know, like kernel engineering or something just like that. I find very obscure, but they just love it, and they will be doing like open source, but not the sexy open source that we're looking at when we're looking at the CNCF landscape or something. They'll be doing like the really trenchy groundwork stuff where they're optimizing like last bits of some, operator I don't even know exists. So I definitely also know these people. I also know people who just like, they just do their job and then they go home to their families. Maybe there's more of them in like something like government or like, anything that's not like tech. But one thing that I think everyone's interested in is like meetups and stuff where you get to know the community, because that's universal. Everyone loves like free food and drink and like hanging out with people and just talking about stuff. Like sometimes it's work, sometimes it's other things. So that definitely flies everywhere.
And then also while I was watching that talk, I was thinking you didn't like name check it as so many people like doing. But it seemed like part of what you're doing in that talk, you're like, you put up this slide and you do the build, and then there's like Azure DevOps on there, and you're like, I don't like seeing that. but I'm not. Anyways, you kind of talk about it a little bit later. But it seemed like at that part of your talk, like there was a lot of like Conway's Law, like silo stuff going on. Like we have this other group doing something, and then all of a sudden we found this out. And so, like, first of all, I mean, it's kind of entry into the topic here, but like, is Conway's Law real? Like, does it actually have a huge effect at most all of the places that you've been at and work at?
Yeah, I think so. I think in almost every place. So I don't work with the Dutch government anymore. I have a different contract that with like a German appliance company. And I just had a conversation today about kind of like how we think about the platform that we're building, what's part of it, what's not part of it, and what do we provide. And I noticed that one of the people in the meeting was like talking about it in a way that was very like, that was separating things that to me belong together. And it took me a while to understand why. It's because the teams are structured that way. So to that person, the responsibility was clearly separate because the teams were separate, even though if you take a step back, you could see, oh, actually, if I look at the platform as a whole, the infrastructure and like the bare infrastructure and then the runtime, like the application layer infrastructure, that actually belongs together. That is all platform. But because the teams were set up like this. And then also historically, this is where you come from, right? You started out with the teams in this layered system, and then you merged them somehow. But then in your head, it's still separate because it's always been separate. Or like another more extreme example, I consulted with a company that was it was a merger of two companies. That merger happened like 10, 15 years before I joined it. They still had separate environments, right? Like because they just didn't merge the infrastructure. And they like within the company, there was a very strong feeling of, well, this is this company and that is that company. So all the tooling, everything was kind of like either duplicated or was like just had this very strong sense of this is the pattern that this company always used in how they solve things and how they present things. And this is the other pattern. So you would always know who built this originally or like from where, like the person who built this, they came from this company or they came from that company.
And so why do you think, well, presumably, let's give everyone the benefit of the doubt and say like they read the internet and they're smart enough. And like presumably people
does reading the internet make you smart?
Well,
or maybe they have AI.
Yeah, I mean that in a dismissive way of like we're kind of reading like the stuff of our trade, right? Like we kind of know what's going on there. And although that is a good point, maybe I've answered my own question. But like, what do you think makes that persist? Like the notion of Conway's Law has been around forever. And as an example, we all know that once you put a metric on something, people game the metric, and yet here we are, right? And so, like in the case of like Conway's Law, like why is that still a problem everywhere instead of something that's not a problem? I guess that would be solved is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's subtle. I think it's just so subtle, right? You don't see it immediately.
Right.
Yeah, I think I was going to ask a similar but opposite question of like, as long as it's easy to keep them apart, as long as the work's getting done, there's no incentive to figure out how to integrate.
Exactly. Yes,
and so
exactly.
like, yeah. So what then is the incentive, or can you make one, or should you make one, or like, is it just like that's never going to be the thing that generates the most value? Like it's always going to be something else, and that's good enough, and we're going to leave it there.
Yeah, and it's like it can also be so baked into the organizational culture, and just you can't just stop doing it. It's just this is just so ingrained in people how they do things, and it's also a question of comfort, right? I'm just like more familiar with this, or I'm just this is just my gang, and I just want to work with these people, and I want to do things with these people because we understand each other, so we're gonna do our thing. And that is just a fundamentally human way, I think, of doing stuff. And I've basically been an external for like most of my work life in the last, let's say, 10 years. So I've been a consultant, like looking at development from like a bit of an external perspective. And then I can see that because I'm not part of the group, right?
So when you walk into the door of a place and you like get a read on their culture, what are the signs that's like, oh, this is messed up, and part of my job here is to fix the culture so we can fix the technical problem, versus what are the signs that like whatever's happening here is good enough culture-wise and I can build on it?
Right. One thing I definitely like when it's super political, when people are more important than their roles. So if you ask someone, how do I do this? And they tell you need to go to that particular person and they use their name. They don't say go to the head of whatever. They use their name specifically because it's more about getting the right
individual
person. Exactly. Rather than, well, there's a process. And then that is super problematic because then it's like, it's all about who do you know, right? The political capital that you have. And it is exhausting to a lot of people. And then we're back to like, you have to be likable. Not every engineer puts a lot of time and effort into being likable. And that's totally fine because that's not okay, I'm not going to say that's not their job, but that's not what they're focusing on. And I think that is definitely a sign that there's something that we should be talking about or doing that. Well, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Let's just keep it.
So then when you do see a big red flags and you're like, okay, we need organizational change, we need culture change, how do you as an outsider even begin to broach that?
Well, usually there's someone that pulls you in there, right?
Yeah,
exactly. And they probably have some kind of power because they can give you a budget. So already you're like, right. But you also got to understand that the fact that you're there is also political. So there might be people who don't want you to be there because you being there sends the message that what they're doing is wrong, and you're not coming in telling them how they should be doing their own job. So that's something you just need to know that this is a thing and not take that personally. What I try to do is really to talk to everyone. Possibly more the people in the trenches. So like I usually do like platform engineer now. So I will be talking to the developers, and you'd be surprised how many times the platform team has not actually talked to the developers about what they need.
That's bananas to me. Yeah.
It is unbelievable to me too. And it's we've been talking about platform as a product and thinking about like us as like the product developers and the users as customers. And yet when I come to a company and ask, but how do our developers actually deploy to production right now? And they're like, we don't know. I'm like, how do you, what do you do? How do you decide? Anyhow, so I'm going to go to them and I'm going to ask them, what's the most annoying thing to you right now? What do you love about the platform? What do you hate? And a lot of times, and then just do a call. And I sometimes don't even write things down. Just have a conversation, kind of like a water cooler conversation, and
with the developer.
Yeah, with the developers. I obviously also will talk to the platform engineers, but I feel like I will hear their opinion at some point anyway. Right?
You don't need to make a point to get it. It's going to come at you if you want it or not.
Especially when I started, like for right now, I'm doing a lot of documentation stuff, and I will ask people, like, can you please help me? And there's nothing. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to write something. And then Emi is like, why did you write that? That's wrong. I mean, thanks for giving me that feedback. But anyhow, so once you just have a conversation with a developer and just tell me what's the worst thing, blah, blah. Sometimes when you're lucky, they will go into like really deep, all this is not working because all of these things. And now suddenly you have like really good insight into like all the things that don't work. And there's like, it's usually not just one thing, right? It's just a lot of like the tech doesn't work the way that they want to, the processes, and then, but I have to go to this person to get this thing, so on and so forth. So I'm trying to really like get in like to the ground floor, basically, just really get the people who have the boots on the ground, understand it.
So we talked about how you, for example, platform as a product, like understand your developers as users and build for them.
Yeah.
We talked about how that's not necessarily listened to at organizations, but I'm wondering if there are any inverse lessons, like having your boots on the ground, if there are any lessons you're learning at companies that you don't feel like are bubbling up to the platform engineering community and space.
Yeah. I think so. This is something actually that I'm talking about. I think the talk that you saw, Coté, is probably the one that I that also addresses this. But I'm actually I'm going to speak at Platform Engineering Day in Amsterdam about exactly this also. It's about inner sourcing. So it's about basically making your platform and like an open source community. So part of it is you have the platform product, like there's the technical components, right? You have the level of enablement, documentation, tutorials, workshops, whatever. And then you also have your developers who are the domain experts, right? And what they're doing. And so many times they are building stuff that you should be using because they're trying to make the platform work for them. So often I come in a situation where there is a platform that technically works, but no one's using it or people don't want to use it. I think that's one of the biggest problems platform engineers are facing at the moment. And so many times there's a couple of engineers who really are super passionate and they are themselves people who teach and who have like a sphere of influence. And they are building like super good tooling or like standard, let's say, Helm charts or whatever that they also give away to other engineers. And I'm like, we should be using that. We should just use what they've already built, integrate it in either the platform itself or in our enablement layer. And to save ourselves the kind of the pain and the work to do that. And the more I feel you make these developers kind of part of your stack, the less you have to do, the closer you are to your users. I mean, this is just DevRel work. This is just exactly what I've been doing.
I totally agree with that idea. But then what do you think about like day two? Like who maintains it after you take a developer's Helm chart that they've been using anyway, integrate it into the platform. Now who maintains it? Who has the responsibility of keeping it current?
Yeah. You're asking the open source question. I was like, who maintains it? I would argue it is the developer who maintains it. Well, this is just, like open source, basically. There is hopefully a maintainer group for, let's say, standard Helm charts. So you have like a repository with just the most popular Helm charts. It could be owned by the platform team if the platform team feels like they own this enablement layer, or maybe there's an organizational structure to have like a cross-function enablement team where it's just a group of people who really care. That it might include platform engineers, that might include the software developers who just really care, and then they. I think it's the only thing that I find just really difficult is if everything is now the platform team, because the platform team has to build the actual thing, and now they also have to own the way that people are using it. And again, they're not the experts in how to use the platform, right? So you definitely need software developers to understand. They also are the platform team, if you so. Well, they can be part of the platform enablement team.
The cross-functional team makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's also like the idea in like team topologies and like all these books that look at like organizational structures, like to break through the Conway's law paradigm. Like cross-functional is kind of like the way to go. At least that's how I see it. It's easier than you think. Like a lot of time when I give this talk, for example, and the talk mainly, the main thesis is that it's all about building community and maintaining the community and make that strong. And then people will ask me like, well, but how do you do it? Like, how do you start a community? And I will tell them, you don't have to start it probably, because I'm pretty sure there are people. Because they will tell me, oh, it's me and this other person, or it's me and then 2 other people. Like there you go. You have this community. Now you just have to like do outreach, right? You start with the smallest possible version, which can just be maybe you have a patron conference or something where you say, these are all our best practices. And that's the first version of your platform that you have. And your people who wrote the stuff are the first smallest version of your platform team. And then you go from there and you see like, oh, now there's other people interested. And the more people are invested and involved and contribute, the more they're also willing to take ownership, because now they feel like this is also my baby now. Like I also have stake in this. It's like an organic growth thing. I'm going to say this is like my vision, and I've seen it work on a small scale. I'm going to be honest, I haven't been able to roll this out in like an organization of 10,000 people or like 1,000 people even. I think it's just really hard, consistent work that needs to just go on for like maybe even years for it to really bear fruit. But I've seen companies where this was already the case, where this worked pretty well.
So do I sometimes think that part of the success, just broadly speaking, of like public cloud is you solve this problem by outsourcing one of those 2 teams, the infrastructure team, to some extent, right? Like you, I don't know who you is, the organization, instead of there being the people building a platform and the infrastructure under it, and then the users of it, let's just say that the developers. Instead, it's just like, we just use Amazon, Azure, or Google.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? And now, of course, there's complexity there where, like, depending on which one you use, there's 5 different ways to do one thing. So you've got to choose that, but whatever. But it does, it makes me think in this, I mean, this very common situation you're talking about, a platform team builds a platform and the developers don't use it and they build their own platform or whatever. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, it seems like what's missing, and I know it's like the opposite of what team topologies want you to do, and all the first round of platform engineering is like, you just tell the developers no, right? Like, and like, but that's like a weird taboo thing that you're not supposed, and maybe it's because it doesn't work, but like you can't tell the developers to stop building their own platform and mandate them using something else, or I don't know. Does that just not work to tell them not to do it?
I think that you have to. I also don't, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily agree that we don't tell them no, because like, I guess, yes, you have to, once you force them on the platform, then kind of by definition, you're saying no to everything that's not on the platform, right?
Right, exactly. That's another way of putting it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So, but then I think the paradigm of the platform is there's no exceptions, right? Everything that you can do with the platform is the way that the platform is intended to be used. That's kind of the idea. So you don't do like, oh, but this team does it this way, right? So it's, if the team does it in a different way, that is also a way that the platform intends for teams to do it if they so choose.
Sure.
So I think it's more about defining, this is, if you want to, I don't know, like provision some infrastructure, this is the way that we tell you this is how you do it. If you tell me you need a different way, then we look at it and then maybe we say no, but then we still have to solve the problem, which we then have to look at the platform and say, oh, okay, maybe there's another way to do it. This is the other way, or maybe this is just a feature that's missing. But I think we just want the no to be implicit, and it's implicit in the way that the platform is built, is what I would argue.
What are you saying no to exactly? Can you say, no, we're not going to build that into the platform, but yes, you go make it on your own and maintain it on your own, and we're going to have no concern about it. Does that count as a yes or no?
I think a lot of a no is like, no, you can't be using, I don't know, Ruby on Rails because no one else in this company is doing it. So we just don't have a Docker image for Ruby, and you can't download it into your container or something. I think that's a way that we say no. Or like, you can't run a container with root or something. Like these are the things that we're just like, that you can't do that. And if you want to do that, you can't work here, I guess. But I think it's important because it's impossible to maintain otherwise. You just can't. Someone chooses some weird like language, like some esoteric stuff, and then they leave, and then what do we do, right? Like, this is also, you just can't build production grade software at your workplace the way that you would do it for your hobby. That's too bad, but that's just the way it is.
That seems reasonable. I want to change the subject because I know that lately at conferences, you've been doing improv workshops for engineers. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
I am so curious about that. I have questions about, first of all, I imagine engineers as being pretty, shy people. And how do you get them?
Evidenced by this group of people.
But first of all, how do you get butts in the seats? How do you make them feel safe enough to even enter the room? That's my first question.
Good question. Actually, I think a lot of people are just very curious. They just read the description. So I pitch it as a talk or like a workshop for conferences. I have also now approached some conferences as an option for potential speakers, or for like their speakers to do like a stage performance workshop before the event. Like I did it for a conference before we did the speaker dinner, and that was just super fun. It's like a thing to do together. So obviously they are maybe a little bit more outgoing than the average engineer maybe. But then a lot of times people are just very curious. They will come, they will sit there, and then I will say, well, we're just going to stand up and get in a circle, and I expect everyone to just do a little bit. I know it's weird, but you gotta, because you're already here. So clearly you do want to see what it's like. And if it's too many people, let's say if it was 50 people, I actually did a workshop once with like a lot of people, and that didn't work as well. But if it's 10, then you can't hide. And then you have this like a little bit feel like the social pressure, I guess I gotta do this because everyone's doing it. So basically, you come for the curiosity, and then you just can't leave because I'm looking at you.
You lock the doors behind you.
Exactly.
It's a little bit horrifying. So then what? Okay, so you've kind of identified there's like an initial hump, even once they're in the door, then there's a second hurdle of like, okay, getting them to open up and be kind of vulnerable and brave in front of each other. Sure. So you're using social pressure as part of that. But also, what other mechanisms are you using to help them feel safe to do something outside of their comfort zone?
So I will set some ground rules in the beginning. Well, first of all, I'm going to tell them what's going to happen, right? So there's no surprises. I will explain exactly like, what are we going to do, and why are we doing it? And I will mention very often, like, this is to get you out of your comfort zone. You're here because you want to be more present on stage, or you want to try it at least. And one of the ways to do that is to do these kinds of exercises. And it's just us here. There's no cameras. No one's recording anything. No one's writing anything down. And we're all being silly. So it's actually, it's the delusion that we're all buying into, kind of like the same thing we talked about earlier. Yeah. And then, I set some ground rules. I set 2 ground rules, basically. One is to be kind. So in improv, the idea is that it's not really that, but kind of what people think is you say the first thing that comes to mind, or you just try to like get something up quick. So inevitably, sometimes people will say something that's not super cool that, if they had time to think about it, they might have not said. It happens. So what I say is like, let's give each other some space and grace to also like fail, or like do something that, is just not is unintended, without being like, oh my God, why did you say that? Right. But then also, if you did something or said something that hurt someone, to also then acknowledge that and take responsibility for it. But again, it's just like we have the space to just experiment, and things will happen, and to just like let loose a little bit, like be, as I said, like give people some grace. And then the other thing is to just like have fun, which is to let go, right? To like think of yourself as, or think of this event and the space as not will work, and we have to be so professional. That's the other thing about public speaking at tech conferences. We are kind of so trained to be professional, and as you said before, like not fail, not say anything wrong. Like if you do something wrong or say something wrong, oh my God, I don't know if it's the same with every industry, but I feel like in tech, it is such like, it's the worst thing you could do. Like do something wrong. It's like, yeah. So giving people kind of the chance and allowing them to be wrong, because there's no wrong, right? And then the third thing is we start really small. We start with like very, very small warm-up exercises where you don't have to be like stupid. You just have to maybe be loud or just do something, just heighten a tiny, tiny thing. And then that gets the energy up. And then I can like do the next thing that's a bit silly. And then we do the next thing a bit silly. And by the end, they're doing like PowerPoint karaoke, which is one of my favorite things. And they're being very silly because they've learned every time. It's like, oh, actually, I'm not being punished for saying something silly or wrong. So, yeah.
So you work your way up to full silly.
Yes.
Yeah. It also sounds like you sort of remind the people that they wanted to be there.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Like you came to the room because you were curious and interested. And there's something that you thought was valuable here. And then, the other thing you're making me think is as far as like teaching and pedantry or whatever you want to call it, is like, you sort of like set up this positive feedback loop of like, here's what you're going to do. And then I'm going to reward you afterwards, or collectively we're going to reward you. Right. Like it's not, you can't mess up at this. So just do it without freaking out about it.
What's a concrete example of one of those early exercises that are getting people comfortable?
Sure. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm giving away all my secrets here. So there's the first game I usually play is a rock, paper, scissors hype. And the idea is that you get, it works the best if it's a lot of people. So you walk around in the room and then you just look someone else in the eye and you play a game of rock, paper, scissors. And then the person who loses, however long it takes for someone to win, and the person who loses goes behind the winner and is now their hype person. So now the person goes and finds another person, and then whoever loses, and all their hype people now have to go behind the winner. So at the end, you have two people, and then a bunch of other people hyping them up. Right? And it's a bit weird in the beginning, but by the end, we just have this whole like room full of energy, and it's just right? And that is really like it surprises me how because I also do it when I do improv with my troupe. How it gets the energy up, because also for us as like improvisers, it's also if you wouldn't ever warm up, it would be hard to do something extremely silly. Like I a sexy chicken once, and I couldn't go from zero to sexy chicken immediately. In the scene, you have to kind of build up to it.
You gotta build up the sexy chicken.
You gotta come to see it.
I think the rock, paper, scissors hype is brilliant because it takes things we're comfortable with. We're comfortable with rock, paper, scissors. It's very familiar. It also like you're comfortable for cheering for sports teams or someone else, like cheering something we do as a society. And also it's brilliant because you're starting with one-on-one interactions, which are more comfortable, and then building up to like being the center of attention if you keep winning. And then the two people who are the biggest centers of attention at the end, they're actually feeling like, oh, I'm winning, not like, oh no, everyone's looking at me, but instead they're like, yes, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant exercise. I want to do it right now.
And then you can literally hide behind someone if you're feeling nervous. That's fantastic.
You can't even like win. You can't even lose on purpose. You can't even be like, oh, I don't want to be in the center of attention. I'd rather lose. Right? You can't do that.
It's brilliant. So then you said like your workshop culminates in PowerPoint karaoke. Yes. Explain what that is. Yeah.
Yes. Well, actually, I should say that I have two workshops basically, where I have like a package of workshops. One is more like the theory of doing presentations, where it's just all about how do I come up with a topic, how do I write an abstract, how do I do my slides, and that kind of stuff. And then I do the in-person conference fun thing, which is what we're talking about right now.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wanted to plug that real quick.
Right
By
on.
the way. Okay, what was the question?
And there's a workshops page on your website, right? If someone wants to book one of these.
Yes, exactly.
The question is, what is PowerPoint karaoke?
Oh, yes. So in PowerPoint karaoke, I will give you a presentation that you've never seen before. And it's basically just 10 slides with only a single picture per slide. And the presentation will have a title that I will promise you has nothing to do with the pictures. And also the pictures have nothing to do with each other. They're just very weird, random pictures or graphics or something, right? And then the idea is that you just go up and then we auto forward the slides. You get 10, 15 seconds per slide. And you just have to make up the presentation. I think one is teamwork or onboarding procedure or something. So again, things that we might be familiar with, but then the slides you just don't know. And then the slide comes up and you just have to make something up. And you have to fill the entire 10 seconds, right? You can't just be like, oh yeah, okay, cool. I mean, you can, but it's not as fun. And first of all, it's super fun because, those pictures are fun and you don't know what's coming up. But I also love that once you remove that kind of content aspect from the talk and people can just focus on the presentation. I'm seeing people just really do very performy things. Someone will just go, action, 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 right? Suddenly they launch into performance because they can just focus on that and try things out and see how people react. Oh, someone really thinks that's super funny. I know from stand-up, for example, I will write down my jokes. And then depending on how I actually deliver the joke, I get completely different reactions. Sometimes a joke I think is super hilarious, never works. And then I just change a word or I just change the way that I present myself as maybe a very sad person or a very introverted person. And then suddenly it works. So I love about PowerPoint karaoke that it frees you from all the worries about whether what you're saying is right or not. And you can just kind of let loose and just try things.
That's very fun. And while we're on the topic of karaoke, I know that you do a KubeCon, a KubeCon karaoke party every year you help organize, right? How long have you been doing that? Yeah.
I think, I have been organizing karaoke parties for conferences for I think maybe almost 10 years or something, where it's just we were just going to the next karaoke bar, right? After the conference. But KubeCon as a thing, I started it the first KubeCon Amsterdam, which is I think 3 years ago. Is that right?
Okay.
That sounds
something
right.
like that.
Yeah.
Yes. So we did, it was super small. It was a 50 people venue and we had 300 people showing up. It was very insane, actually. And then we've been trying to do it for every KubeCon, although we've learned it's best to do it when you have someone who's a local because they can scout locations and find the right venue, because for us, it's really important to find kind of the right venue to have fun, not be too big, not have it feel like a very corporate kind of after party event, because we wanted it to be a community thing. So yes, we've been doing it Amsterdam, Chicago, Paris, London, and we're doing it again in Amsterdam. Hooray!
So Amsterdam KubeCon is coming up in March, and you have a KubeCon party ready to go. If someone wants to go to that, what do they do? Is it time? They can go to kuberoki.love. That's our website. And they need to maybe talk to their boss if they can, if they want to sponsor us, because we're still looking for sponsors. Without sponsors, we can't make it happen because we don't ask for entry fees. So need to find some sponsors. We will open registration probably, I will say, maybe end of February, beginning of March. Okay.
We have to register people because it's just gonna be too full. Maybe we have a very big venue this time, so hopefully we will fit everyone who wants to come. But still, you need to register. You need to go there, get a wristband, and then you can come and go. We'll have drinks and food, well, snacks for free there, and we'll have a photo booth this year.
Nice.
It'll be super fun, and we're also going to be so close in the center, so you can. This is after the cube crawl, right in the venue, so you can go, maybe have dinner somewhere, have a drink somewhere, and then just come by and hang out and sing.
Oh, I have an important question.
Yes.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
It is. Well, depending on how late it is in the evening, I actually have different ones. But I would say my go-to, all-time favorite go-to is "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing" by Aerosmith.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is so great, and I have a whole like list of criteria what constitutes a good karaoke song.
Uh-huh.
It needs to be something that kind of most people know, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, karaoke is a group activity, I would argue, right?
Yeah.
I don't particularly like being like picking an obscure song that only I can sing and I can showcase my beautiful voice, but then no one's enjoying themselves, right? So
Yeah.
song that everyone knows. Then a song I'm gonna pick like not the most popular song, but like one that makes people feel, oh yeah, I haven't heard the song in years. Oh, it's such an amazing song. So like I'm not gonna do I Want It That Way, but I might do Quit Playing Games with My Heart or something, right? Like there's a whole thing. Actually, now I've been so obsessed with Easy Lover by Phil Collins.
She's an easy lover.
So obsessed with the song. I literally wake up in the morning and put the song on, and then I just like.
I'm going to put it on right after we stop recording.
So great.
Coté,
yeah.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Well, I don't really ever do karaoke, so so it's difficult. I was interested in your criteria as it helped me narrow down, but I feel like, see, because I feel it's probably a bad idea to pick based on songs you like. You need a song that like you can do something with.
Well, you should like it also.
Well, of course.
Pick a song you don't like.
But there's some Venn diagram of overlap of like
performance.
One, it should have vocals, so that's a criteria.
Yes, I don't like when people pick tequila and they think it's so funny about it. Again, it's like I want everyone to have fun with it, and
that's the equivalent of in your keynote, your PowerPoint karaoke. If you just said one word during a slide,
yeah.
Well, that can be funny too, though, if you sell it right. That's the thing, right?
I think the one I would try to experiment with is maybe like Magic Man by Heart. That would be fun.
I don't know that song.
Can you a couple of bars?
You know, try to understand he's a magic man, and then there's a cool guitar solo and all that kind of stuff.
You know what I would love? I would love to do karaoke, but only guitar solos.
I have
only sing the guitar solos.
So my go-to karaoke song is "I Believe in a Thing Called Love" by The Darkness. Yeah,
love that.
And it has guitar solos, which I'm happy to do. Like but if there is someone who's shy to do it. Oh yeah, I sing. Yeah, that's my song.
We sang this together.
Did I do it? I think I did it. Yeah, in Amsterdam. Yeah.
I don't remember, but yeah, we did.
So I'll take someone shy who doesn't want to sing and coax them on stage just to do the guitar solo, just to play air guitar for the guitar solo.
They could be your guitarist.
Exactly.
Maybe I'm also thinking maybe something like, some kind of Hall & Oates song like Private Eye. That's probably good. Private Eyes.
Okay.
And then you can clap.
Pop is watching you. Yeah.
I mean, I expect you to come to the party now and give us your rendition of it.
Well, I did have. We don't have any budget, so I'm not asking this on my behalf. But if someone does sponsor, do they get to come up with their own song to have people karaoke to? Maybe like, IBM.
So actually, at the first karaoke, we were still doing sponsor pitches, and Chain Guard,
Lewiston and Perry made up a song.
They did a basic presentation that was, what was it? Was it "We Will Rock You" or something?
Oh yeah, isn't there a Fleetwood Mac song called "The Chain"? They could use that and put the lyrics in.
But we don't do sponsor pitches anymore. We might bring it back actually, but in theory. Well, the one thing is we don't want to give anyone preferential treatment, right? We don't want anyone to be like, oh,
Sure.
I get to sing because I paid for it or something.
That said, I feel like if you told the sponsors, you definitely can speak, but only if you sing. I think maybe the whole group would be like, that'd be fantastic.
Well, one thing that I do love about karaoke and why I think karaoke works so well for conferences, for tech conferences, which you wouldn't think, but I have never met anyone who had a bad time at karaoke. Not everyone loves singing, right? But they will enjoy being there, having a drink, hanging out, maybe singing in the background to a song that they like. But I have never met anyone who was like, I didn't like this. This was boring or whatever. So a lot of one of our sponsors was like, I will sponsor you, but only if you don't film me while I'm singing. I love karaoke, but it's kind of like a secret love. And I will also say, just because a lot of people also tell me I'm not good at singing, I don't think karaoke is about how good you sing. I think karaoke is about how much you deliver it. Because I would rather see someone who is completely off pitch, but they really live in it, right? They're really selling it, than someone who's just super good at singing because you're good. There's no you're just singing. You're just doing a concert right now.
What I lack in talent, I make up for with enthusiasm.
Another thing that I think goes for everything in life.
Exactly.
But I will also I'm going a bit back now. The talk that I did that you probably saw, that one I thought of as almost a bit like a stand-up set because it wasn't super technical and it wasn't really even. I think I just really tried to make it a bit like a story, a bit like when you see comedians and they tell you this super long stories with small jokes while they're telling it. And I was doing a lot of just saying the word or just showing Azure DevOps, and just let that sit for a while, right? So I was really leaning into that kind of performance aspect of it, especially the later versions of the talk.
Yeah. Well, maybe next time I'll be at KubeCon. I'll see you talk. Maybe you should bring out one of those stools and a water bottle. I don't really know what the deal is with stand-up comedian, but I feel like that's maybe the graduation gift they all get when they graduate from stand-up comedian stuff. Is they always got that stool and a water bottle.
That's true.
I don't know what that is.
No, I'm actually doing a comedy show tonight, so maybe I should just bring my own stool. I have to. This is my lucky stool.
Yeah. Well, speaking of lucky stools, I think hopefully the listeners have been hopping up and down on their lucky stool as if they've been enjoying this episode as much as I think us three have. Thanks for being on. It's been great. What we've mentioned several things so far, which we'll put a link to in the show notes at softwaredefinedinterviews.com/117. But where would you point people to? Do you have a homepage on the World Wide Web or other thing that people could go to?
I do indeed. So you will find me on the internet almost everywhere at Lian Makes Things. So Lian, my name, makes things because I make things. .dev, DEV, if you're looking for my website, or I'm on Blue Sky, I'm on Mastodon, I'm on LinkedIn. Karaoke.love for the karaoke stuff. Please check it out, and we would love it if you joined us. What else? If you're in Amsterdam for KubeCon and you are here a bit earlier, the Sunday before, I do actually have an improv show. So I will put that on my also Instagram. I think that's where I put more my artsy stuff, my performance art stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on. If you follow me on the internet, you'll hear about it.
I like that. So your Instagram is your low-paying professional life, and then
Yes.
It's my passion, and then LinkedIn is where I get paid.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks. That was a lot of fun. And if listeners, if you don't already, for some reason, subscribe, but you've listened this long, you can go to softwaredefinedinterviews.com and figure out how to subscribe. We post the videos as well to, as Whitney says, tens of people who enjoy it. But there's also just the traditional podcast format you can download. And with that, we'll see everyone next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.